All right, welcome in everyone, kicking off another deep dive here. And today we're going to be looking at this really cool concept, positive social impact.
Okay.
And we've got a couple of different sources today that kind of explore this idea of using, our resources or technology to really, create meaningful change out there in the world.
Yeah.
And basically what we want to do today is just kind of understand together what this positive social impact really is, how technology plays into it, what businesses are doing, and even some ways that you listening right now can get involved.
Sounds good.
So I guess maybe to start off, when we hear that term positive social impact, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. So uh, I think really at its core, positive social impact is all about creating lasting, improvements in society.
Okay.
And it's really driven by, conscious actions, innovative technologies, and businesses that kind of operate with this really strong ethical compass.
Hmm.
The goal is a more equitable world for everyone. It's not just about good intentions or,
Yeah.
warm, fuzzy feelings.
Right.
It's about tangible results
Yeah.
and actually making a difference.
Yeah. And it feels like technology has such a huge role to play in this whole thing.
Absolutely.
It's gone way beyond, just convenience or making our lives a little bit easier.
For sure.
One of the things that the sources highlight is how AI and automation can actually drive real societal progress.
Uh-huh.
They give the example of using AI to create personalized education plans for underprivileged children.
Oh, wow.
So it's like taking this technology and applying it in a way that can really uplift communities. It kind of makes you think about all the technologies that we interact with every day and
Yeah.
what kind of impact they could be having on a much wider scale.
I think that's a really great point. I mean, it really does make you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how can we be leveraging all of this stuff for good?
Yeah.
And actually what's interesting is businesses are starting to recognize that, you know, they have the ability to be a real force for good in the world.
That's true.
And I think we're seeing a shift from companies just wanting to look socially responsible, just for their image,
Right, right.
to actually embedding social responsibility directly into their business models.
Mm.
This isn't about PR anymore.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental change in how they operate and,
Yeah.
the impact they want to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of seeing this in action, one of the sources talks about this platform called Obless.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's described as an AI-powered crowdfunding initiative.
Okay.
And it's part of this larger on-passive community. But the really interesting thing about Obless is its focus on making sure that donations are being used effectively and transparently.
That's so important.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They're supporting things like education, healthcare, disaster relief, community development. It's
Mhm.
like a perfect picture of positive social impact, really leveraging technology to address these real needs in the world.
Absolutely. And this all kind of brings up a really important question. How can we as individuals get involved?
Yeah.
Because it can feel overwhelming, right? Like, how can we actually make a difference?
Yeah.
Well, the material we're looking at actually outlines a bunch of really accessible ways.
Okay, good.
For example, one of the simplest things is to consciously support businesses that are prioritizing social responsibility and sustainability.
Yeah.
Voting with our dollars, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Another big one, and something we were talking about a little bit ago, is actually using the technology we already have.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
think about using social media platforms or even just the internet in general
Yeah.
to educate ourselves and others on important issues, or even to participate in different online initiatives and projects
Yeah.
that are working towards positive change.
Yeah. And that can be as simple as, sharing a post
Mm.
or, signing a petition,
Exactly.
something that just helps to amplify those voices that are working towards the greater good.
Yeah, and beyond the digital realm, there's a lot we can do in our local communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like volunteering our time or mentoring young people.
Yeah.
Those are all really powerful ways to contribute.
Absolutely. And our voices matter too, right? Advocating for policies and practices that benefit society as a whole,
Yes.
I mean, that can create huge, huge impact.
It really can. And, for those of us who are maybe, in positions to innovate or create in our professional lives, the challenge is to think about how can we integrate social impact into our work?
Right.
How can we use our skills to make the world a better place?
Yeah, because ultimately, this brighter future that we all want, it's not just going to happen on its own, right?
Right.
It really requires us to make that deliberate choice to embrace positive social impact in our everyday lives, in our actions, and in the way we interact with the world.
Yeah, it's about using innovation to truly serve humanity.
And on that note, I guess just a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day to day, as you're interacting with all of these different resources, technologies, everything around you, what's one small shift that you can make to contribute to a more positive social impact in your own way? Just something to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you later.